Alright, what's going on out there, guys? Well, I got nobody watching currently, but that's fine. I don't care. Watch this live stream later. Why am I doing a Monday night live stream when I normally do a Sunday night live stream? Well, I went out of town to visit with my family. Had a great time. So I wasn't home yesterday, and I'm on leave. Who knows? Maybe I'll do a live stream tomorrow too. You never know. You know, you only get one go through in life. So, do as many live streams as I want. Anyways, what I want to talk about today, we're going to talk about a few things. You know, sometimes I don't even know the direction of... Sometimes I saw a Hitler edit with Techno Taylor Swift. What? This might be the greatest thing that's ever existed. But, yeah, what I'm going to primarily talk about, and we'll see where it goes from there, is Nick Fuentes. Okay? Now, I don't know. This guy apparently is popular with the youth. I don't know who this guy is. I mean, I've watched some of his videos here and there on YouTube now that he's up on YouTube. I don't, some of the stuff, I mean, I don't really know enough about the guy to really comment intelligently on all his views. Yeah, sure. We'll see. I mean, maybe it'll get my channel nuked, but whatever. I don't make any money from it anyways. So, but Nick Fuentes, right? There's something that bothers me about this guy. And let me freely say this. If you're a Nick Fuentes D-rider, it's fine. I don't know that much about the guy. It's kind of a tertiary look at, can't even talk tonight, but it's kind of a surface level look at Nick Fuentes, because there's some things that bother me about this guy. Okay? Copy pasta, that shit. Are you gonna send it here? Where'd you send it? I don't know where you sent it. I can get in there, but it's going to be annoying to the crowd if I have to go into the email that I use up there. But if we can't do it this way, we'll figure it out. Did it not send? No, it's not down in the links, brother. But yeah, like there's something that bothers me a little bit about Nick Fuentes in that it doesn't necessarily seem to me to be very organic. I had heard his name. I'd heard his name, but I didn't know who he was. And the Groypers and all of that. I mean, to me it sounds lame. You know, the older I get, this is, yeah, right here. Nick is certainly a Fed. Yeah, bro, some French guy totally gave him $500,000 worth of Bitcoin. Yeah, see... These are Gigatod Howard Skyrim #1. Gigatod Sky. I love that name in the Gigatod Howard up there. But the Gigachad Todd Howard. But yeah, like, so I'm going to go through what I know. Feel free to excoriate me in the comments if I'm not quite up on what the hip kids are up to these days. It seems like the older I get, the more curmudgeon-y I become, the less I believe. The less I believe anything in the media is actually organic at this point. I've come to believe post 2016, when Trump won the election, that basically anything on the internet isn't astroturfed. Yeah, I think they started losing control because of the great financial crisis. and the rise of the easy access of social media to get your message out there. And I think, what was it? I always, is it the Smith-Munson Act? Smith-Munson Act or whatever it was. And that was the one that allowed the CIA to start propagandizing Americans again under Barack Obama. Am I blaming Barack Obama? No, I mean, I don't know that Barack Obama even really fucking knew what he was signing. He probably did, because I'll be honest with you, Barack Obama seems like kind of a scumbag to me, but I don't know. Again, it's the same thing. I'll say shit on here, but occasionally what I like to do is just clarify. Okay? I don't know Barack Obama personally. I don't know if that surprises anybody out there. You know what we're going to do too? I'm going to bring this up as I'm talking about Nick Fuentes. Because, you guys need something to look at. So you can look at Nick Fuentes' beautiful visage without having to actually hear this dude talk. Alright, here we go. Allow. There we go. There you go. You should be looking at the beautiful Nick Fuentes right there. The only problem with this is, here, let me exit out of everything else so I can make sure. Because I like to sit here in the comments and read them too. But whatever. Let me just talk about this and then I'll do the comments. But Nick Fuentes, he seems, it just doesn't seem organic. So I was watching him on Tucker Carlson's show, and he talks about how he got debanked and kicked off of social media, basically his feud with Ben Shapiro, and all of that shit that went along with it. Now, again, I wasn't there. Sorry, I got kind of distracted. Let me finish my thought on Barack Obama. I don't know Barack Obama personally. He seems like a smug, aristocratic elitist. But I don't know. Maybe the guy's cool as shit in real life and really wants to help America. I don't think he does. I think Barack Obama is a Marxist bitch, and I really, the impression I get about Barack Obama from social media and all of that, I really don't care for this human being. He seems to act like, seems to me that Barack Obama kind of doesn't think he takes a shit. And if he did take a shit, that you would be blessed if he threw it at you. Or, like, Barack Obama seems like the type of guy that would be offended if he offered to let you smell his shoe, and you were like, dude, I'm not going to smell your shoe. And Barack Obama's sitting there going, it's just kind of a racism and an elitist world that makes me sad. I'm a half black man. Not a real black man. I'm only half. Well, you could say I'm a black man if you believe in miscegenation laws. But me, Barack Obama, I'm better than you. I'm better than almost everybody. I knew George Bush when I was a kid. I can't believe you morons believe that my rise to the top was actually organic and that it didn't have anything to do with me being chosen when I was a young senator, sucking a bunch of cock out there, having me some cocaine and gay sex. And, I got together with some of my heroes from the Weather Underground terrorists, because I hate that I'm an incompetent pansy who can't actually do anything and has no discernible skills in life, and that's why I hate the working class. But this, to me, Nick Fuentes has all the hallmarks of me. He has a lot of hallmarks of what I would say is an astroturfed influencer. Now, maybe Nick Fuentes started out organic, okay? And then somebody got to him, blah, blah, blah. But I have a tough time believing that a guy is out there just running his mouth, talking about Hitler Friday. You know, it seems like to me that's just a bunch of trolling. But then I have a tough time believing there are that many people out there, or as many people as the media wants you to believe, that are out there going, Hitler was a great guy. Or that white supremacists, like the modern day skinheads that you see, like you see them in prison. That's a survival thing. Okay, it's terrify your enemies. Most of those guys don't believe it. The ones that do are morons. The rest of them are, you know, this is just what it is. Okay? Like the Aryan Brotherhood, they're supposed to be the Aryan Brotherhood, but they run drugs. When you're in prison, if you're a Peckerwood, if you're a Wood, you're running with, I believe it's the Southsiders. Nobody stab me if I don't exactly know the correct group that, you know, each group runs with in prison, because I'm not in prison and I've never been. And I also don't want to go. So I also want to stay alive. So I take back everything that I've ever said negative about Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, because they just seem like such fine, upstanding psychopaths. But Nick Fuentes, I'm just saying, let me put it, if you're new here, so you understand where I'm coming from. I'm not salty. So I have, when I point out this next thing, when you're on YouTube, if you have a decent podcast or whatever you want to call this, not a piece of shit like mine, where I basically put in zero effort and I come on here and I talk to the few people that want to listen to me. And I'm grateful for them because I actually do like doing it. I like knowing I can just pick a subject, come on here, and I have a bunch of great people, even if it's less than 10 people, that'll comment. But I also see the Tim Pool situation, and that's one of the reasons why I don't want to be an influencer anyways. I want to be a normal dude that has a YouTube channel. Okay? That's what I want to be. I don't want to be Joe Rogan. I don't want to have to walk around with private security. I don't want to be Tim Pool getting, you know, whatever you think of Tim Pool. Sometimes I think he has decent takes. Some of his takes I think are moronic. And I actually don't believe that Tim Pool is actually an honest actor on YouTube either. I don't believe that anybody on YouTube that has a large channel is actually an honest actor on here. I think most of this is astroturfed bullshit, okay? Like, back to what I was saying about the feds. When you see somebody like Patriot Front, and I'll see if I can actually find Patriot Front. I'm going to have to take your gaze away from the beautiful Nick Fuentes for a minute. Oh, yeah, they are. Oh, dude, I'm about to get into how the whole Republican Party is gay now. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Just don't lie to me about it. Where's I going to fucking look? Oh, Patriot Front. Patriot Front. Okay. U-Haul. All right, let me see if this pulls it up.
We are finding out more tonight about the
Okay.
supremacist group allegedly plotting to riot at a pride event up in Idaho. They were discovered Saturday, packed into the back of a U-Haul truck, all wearing similar clothing and white face coverings. Police were tipped off by somebody who saw these guys loading masks and shields into a truck and told the police that they looked like a little army. The men are reportedly members of the Patriot Front. This is a white nationalist group, and we're heading to an LGBTQ pride event to riot.
Okay, let me get this straight. All right, I got to add that back to the stage. Let me get this straight and see if I think I understand what went on here. We got to listen to it one more time.
Members of a white supremacist group allegedly plotting to riot at a pride event up in Idaho. They were discovered Saturday, packed into the back of a U-Haul truck, all wearing similar clothing and white face coverings. Police were tipped off by somebody who saw these guys loading masks and shields into a truck and told the police that they looked like a little army. The men are reportedly members of the Patriot.
Okay. I remember when that kind of shit was going down with Patriot Front, right? I could tell you I'm going to go a 75 to an 85% confidence interval that was entirely set up by the feds. Okay? Like, there's no way that Patriot Front thing was not set up by the feds. Let me get this story straight, that the propagandists in the new... You know what? We're going off of Nick Fuentes. I like having the hippo up so I can read your fucking comments. If anybody has a problem with it, you can yell at me or just leave a comment down there about which one you like better, Hippo or Nick Fuentes. I don't blame you, but there is no way, right, that every member of that Patriot, 31 members in the back of a U-Haul, I'm telling you right now, at least 27 of those guys in that U-Haul were feds. There's no way they weren't. There's no way they weren't. Let me get the story straight on Patriot Front guys that were arrested. He assaulted an old grandma? Holy shit. Holy shit. He assaulted a Peppers. Jesus Christ. Yeah, he's got to have some connection. There's no way, man. If an old Jewish grandma came to my house and I assaulted her with my looks, I'm going to prison. Yeah, 100%. But the whole Patriot Front thing, you know, like it reeks of. We need to see Nick Fuentes as a hippo, to be honest. Yeah, I don't blame you. But most. Let me point this out about this scourge, this boogeyman. Okay, the Democrats were actually the KKK. In case anybody was wondering about that, I have zero problem saying that to anybody. That was Southern Democrats, and then they, you know, whatever. But like the whole white supremacist thing, where you have like American History X, that's all federal government. Needs an enemy. That's all tie white supremacy to and white nationalism together. So, like Kyle Kulinski lost his fucking mind after Rogan had Trump on there. Dude, Kyle Kulinski is a 40-year-old man who dyed his hair blonde. Like, that's cool. This Kyle Kulinski is so dumb that he tweeted from his plane where he could see these rows in the earth, And he said, what is that? And people had to explain that's where people grow food. Yeah, Kyle Kalinski's a dumb motherfucker. But whatever. It's the internet. In the Wild West days of YouTube, anybody could be famous. 2015 comes along. Trump, won the election. This is when all the propaganda flies into high gear. And you end up in a situation that we're in today where you can't believe anything. So the government loves using white supremacy as a way to discredit people. And oftentimes, it's actually the feds that are in there. Like Timothy McVeigh. Now, this is an apocryphal story. Okay, so take it with a grain of salt. The rumor is Timothy McVeigh didn't want to do it. And was actually dragged in and talked into it. It's the same thing with what happened to Randy Weaver at Ruby Ridge. He went to some sort of anti-government meeting. There was a guy in there that approached him and started talking to him. Whatever, he kind of struck up a friendship with him. The guy was a federal informant. And this is what the government does. They'll set up these meetings of white supremacists or separatists or Black Panthers. You think that, Martin Luther King was organic? Oh, okay. Yeah. It's 37, but Kyle's 37, but that's still too old to be dyeing your hair blonde unless it's for some sort of role or something you're doing at work, or your daughter really your daughter or son wanted to dye your hair blonde. I would accept that. But yeah. Oh, Crystal Ball is a nasty fucking human. They all are. I don't know, man. At this point, the government might have succeeded in what it wanted to do. Drive a wedge in society. But Nick Fuentes, he gets big on YouTube. And then, whatever happened with him. And then all of a sudden, halfway through this year, Nick Fuentes starts blowing up on YouTube. He starts going on, is Tucker a Fed? I've kind of suspected something's up with Tucker for a while. I don't know. I don't know. But I think the whole YouTube thing, outside of your Rogans that have been on for a long time, Crowder's Israel, that's where that comes from. Crowder, my buddy Nate did stand up with, what's his name, Dave Landau. Now, Dave Landau can't really talk because of the NDA, but he said Steven Crowder is one of the biggest pieces of garbage he's ever met in his life. Now, I know Anderson Cooper. This is what people don't realize. Anderson Cooper is. I don't know about Tucker. He has been honest that he applied to be in the CIA. Now, let me say this too. Not every person that works, I'm going to get called a Fed. Not every person that works for a particular agency is a garbage person. I like Jerry, what is his name? I like listening to Kiriakou. I even don't really mind Mike Baker that much. We know who they are. If you're a CIA guy, I don't care if you're on Rogan's podcast. That's your right. You get to say your opinion. I don't like the deception. That's what annoys me. And constantly trying to have every inch of the narrative. That's what bugs me about the whole thing. And, it is what it is. If you're an honest person, you come on YouTube, and there's a guy that came on YouTube, and he just said, well, like Mike Baker, If you like listening to Mike Baker's podcast, yeah, just understand there's propaganda in there, but he's probably going to give you some insights that legacy media isn't, because he spent 25 years at the agency. I'm just saying the things like the white supremacist and all of that, those are all federales. It just is. If you meet a guy that's super into white supremacy and crime, that guy's a federal informant or a federal undercover agent. This is why, I'm just a guy that likes going to work and coming home. Okay? I don't like being propagandized into agreeing with everything that the government does. We say that we want a society where people are free to disagree, and then they give us the Overton window, where they say to you, Jay, discourse is great. Rational discourse is a great thing. But here's our Overton window. This is the acceptable area where free speech can happen in. My response to that: go fuck yourself. That's my response to that. I'll talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. Like, I'm tired of the past 10 years where if I don't agree that we should have open borders and that I shouldn't have to jerk off Somalian men when they step off Captain Phillips' boat there in Dearborn, Michigan, or wherever the fuck these people come from, where they are, or Minnesota, whatever it is, where they go up there. It's not all of them. I'll admit that. But what I'm going to say to you, everything where if you comment on a culture, you're called racist. And this is because the liberal worldview requires lies to maintain itself. It is an empire founded on lies. All empires are founded on lies. Doesn't matter which empire you go to. We currently live in the liberal economic order, which is just a reconstituted British Empire. It's in America. I don't necessarily even have a problem with that. But when you point out, and look, it's so soft and easy in this country that you allow the flourishing of stupid ideas like communism. Just is what it is. Socialism. It's one of those things where all these people, they're utopists. That's really what it is. It doesn't matter what system you're talking about. Because I'm kind of going to transition here. Tucker is ex-CIA. I don't think Tucker got in, or that's the official story. Yeah, Anderson Cooper 100% is. He found himself as a broke-ass loser because his loser family, the Vanderbilts, these fucking intergenerational... And I don't even have a problem with intergenerational wealth. Stop doing evil shit with it. Yeah, but fucking Anderson Cooper... got CIA propaganda school. Every 4 months, there's a documentary on CNN about the effects that Anderson Cooper's brother's suicide had on him. And I'm like, Anderson, I don't give a fuck about your family. I don't care. You're worth hundreds of millions of dollars because you went to CIA propaganda school and then you went to work for CNN, and then you're up there talking to me about how ivermectin, one of the most important medications ever invented, is horse paste because you think, because you went to CIA propaganda school, that I'm not going to go do my own research. And then I got fat troglodyte Brian Stelter, right? Fat troglodyte Brian Stelter, desperately pretending he's not gay, up there going, don't do your own research, watch CNN. But the problem is, Why would I need fat troglodyte Brian Stelter, who's hideous even when he's wearing makeup? Why would I need this fat troglodyte to tell me how to think about COVID? This fat fuck is in danger of dying of COVID because he's a fat fuck. I'm not. 5'10" and a half, 165 to 175 pounds. Okay, that's what my normal weight is. 10-pound, difference. Sometimes I'm a little bit fatter. Sometimes I'm a little bit leaner. But you got fat Brian Stelter up there telling me not to. And all of these guys go through propaganda school. Why do you think guys like Gavin Newsom cross their legs in the way that they cross them? Like guys like Gavin Newsom cross their legs like they don't have balls. What does that do? It signals to liberal white women that they're safe. That's why Zoran Maldani smiles like a retard every time he's on camera. Smiles like a retard, and just remember that is a tyrant smile to trick you into believing that they are harmless. Anybody that smiles at... I would rather be mean-mugged by John Jones than have Zoran Mamdani smile at me like that. Being mean-mugged by John Jones would be terrifying, and I would run away. Because I know he could just break my neck in like 20 seconds. Zoran Maldani is... And honestly, I'm not a threat to John Jones physically, so he'd probably just take me down, hopefully just give me pink belly, hold me down, start playing the drums on my belly because there's not shit I can do about it, and mock me, right? Zoran Mamdani wants to take my parents' shit, wants to take my shit, and he wants to lock me in a concentration camp or a gulag because I don't have the right views. And that is, I don't believe that smug Ugandan Indians should be in any position of leadership in my country. And it is what it is. But, yeah, so Anderson Cooper, fuck Anderson Cooper. All right, we're going to do some comments. Then I want to talk about some more about the PSYOPs. Because a lot of times I don't like to sit here, and if we get to it, we get to the other stuff. The point I wanted to make is, like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to watch Yuri Bezmenov. I'm going to do comments and I'm going to comment on how Yuri Bezmenov's description of being propagandized works for every country in the world. It's just how propagandizing works. It's not really communist propagandizing. It's propagandizing. And just so everybody knows, the United States and most of Europe was hijacked by Trotskyites after the war. All right, so Yuri Bezmenov, warning. All right, now warning to America. All right. There's one that, it's 6 minutes. This is the one I wanted to throw up. I'm going to get up, let this play. I'm going to take a piss so I don't have to do it, mid-stream or, while I'm actually talking. This is important.
1939 in a suburb of Moscow. He was the son of a high-ranking Soviet Army officer. He was educated in the elite schools inside the Soviet Union and became an expert in Indian culture and Indian languages. He had an outstanding career with Novosti, which was and still is, I should say, the press arm or the press agency of the Soviet Union. It turns out that this is also a front for the KGB. He escaped to the West in 1970 after becoming totally disgusted with the Soviet system, and he did this at great risk to his life. He certainly is one of the world's outstanding experts on the subject of Soviet propaganda and disinformation and active measures. Well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand. When the Soviets use the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already.
Okay. Sorry, I had to get up, run to the bathroom. So I'm back. Notice how they had the slow process there? Yuri Bezmenov is talking about the slow process. Okay. I want you to look at modern day Republicans. All right? And just think about them for a second. Now I want you to think about the Republicans from the 1990s. I heard this said earlier, and I was watching a video, and I think it was very telling, where they said in there, what they said is, most of the Republicans today are left of Bill Clinton's administration. See how he said there? It's the slow ideological transformation. And I started noticing this. COVID woke me up to things I had noticed, but I kind of just dismissed. Okay? And it was just how, like, slowly over time, I watched people's ideas change to conform with what the TV was telling them to think. And I thought it was disturbing. Now, I first noticed this during the Iraq War. Okay? And here's another little thing that I'm going to point out. As I've been listening to more and more people on this, on how propagandizing works. And during the Iraq War, I noticed even my family was repeating the talking points from the news. And they were getting mad at me that I wouldn't go along with it. It's the same thing. I've gotten into heated arguments with people on the war on drugs. I've said, what it is it's a money laundering operation for intel agencies. And they would get mad at me. Like if I simply said, I don't think we should even be engaging in the war on drugs. And people would go, heroin? Well, people died. They're talking about fentanyl in the news now, and I pointed this out to my stepdad last night. I said, more people die of booze in this country than from all opiates. Right? So what's the danger? Booze is the 3rd leading cause of death in Americans. It's like 150,000 people a year. Followed by poor diet and smoking cigarettes. And every time I point this out, and I would say, do you believe? They would say, well, drugs are bad for you. And I go, do you believe that it's bad for you to be massively overweight? And they would say, yes, I do believe that it's bad that somebody is overweight. And then I said, do you think we should lock people in jail for being fat? Nobody has said that you should be locked in a cage for being fat. And I go, okay, so, because obviously that guy's got a food addiction, right? And they're like, yeah. And then I went, okay, so I have an addiction. Yeah. Okay, then why are we locking up drug addicts with addiction? It's that simple. And then you notice it's a two-tier system. This is how you know you're under the rule of tyranny. If there are different forms of justice, you are in a tyrannical system. Now, the extent of the tyranny, I don't know. You're never going to have a perfect system. And the wealthy and the well-connected are always going to get away with things you and I aren't. How much do I really care if it's not that pervasive? Not that much. I really don't. You know, a lot of it is just money and access to better lawyers. But notice how all of this works. Now we're going to talk about the devaluation. He calls it demoralizing. This is an abuser's tactic. It's called devaluation. And I was watching a debate, and deception is another one. When you see those formal debates put on by Vice News, Jubilee, it's all deception. So I was watching a debate on guns put on by Vice News after it got bought by Bloomberg. Sitting dead center, and it's interesting to just watch how everything's set up, is a man named Greg Jackson, who ended up getting a job at the Office for Gun Prevention Violence. You don't get to have a government agency that is dedicated to taking away one of my rights. The same thing I would say about Scary Poppins, Nina Jankowicz, and her whatever it was, Ministry of Truth she wanted created. Greg Jackson is sitting in the middle, and that guy went on to be the Office of Gun Violence Prevention czar, or whatever it is. Why we have czars, I have no idea. Anyways, he said something in there. When he said, you don't have anything valuable enough in your house to take somebody's life over it. Devaluation. That's what it is right there. My father, I'm not going to disparage him, but my father did a lot of fucked up shit to me when I was a kid. So it's stuff that, you know, he was horribly abused when he was a kid. He's an alcoholic. Whatever, it is what it is. Okay? But he used to always want to take some of my clothes if he had a date. And it would piss me off. And the thing he would do is try to devalue anything that he took from me. It's an abuser's tactic. Here's the KGB defector talking about it.
For the last 35 years, actually it's overfulfilled, because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing.
Notice what he just said right there. During COVID, it's how effective the propaganda was. During COVID, you could tell people, no, ivermectin is a medicine of use, and it's labeled by the World Health Organization as a must-have drug, or whatever the term is for it. People will call you a liar. I've been called a liar on YouTube. When I was, going after the grifters, trying to grifter slay, people would attack me who's telling the truth. I've never sold a course on here. The only thing that I ever said about these guys on YouTube is stop listening to them. They don't know what you're talking about. And what's happening right now isn't what you think it is. I would get attacked. I would get labeled as the deceptive one, the one telling the truth, or my version of the truth. And I'm not saying that to get some sort of sympathy. I'm just saying it was actually fascinating when I was going through it. How badly I would be attacked for talking about Voyager Digital. I'd be called a FUD. Well, I called it within 1 month of when it would go under. I would get called a FUD for calling out cryptocurrency. And I'm like, what fucking world am I living in that a guy with 1,000 subs is getting hammered because he's telling you to be careful with certain so-called investment instruments? This is true. Like, once the propaganda takes hold, and now think about what the leftists say. This horribly racist country. Now go on YouTube, look at certain Rogan clips where somebody it's clearly a bot or some dude in India fingering his asshole on OnlyFans and writing negative shit about, say, Rogan or whatever. But the comments will even try to devalue stuff. Demoralization, devaluation are the same thing. Because if I demoralize you or I devalue you, you don't have the ability to fight back.
Thing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his balls, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization. The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, it doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation. What matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world that the process will go that fast. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in some...
Everything that he is describing here, I want you to think about what's been going on in America for a lot longer than just the past 5, 10, 15 years. Crisis. We're constantly lurching from crisis to crisis. Or, as Chase Hughes describes this, fear. He describes it as fog. I don't know that I trust Chase Hughes in a lot of ways, but the dude does know his stuff. And he uses the acronym FOG. It's just a different name for what's going on right now. Fear, and then there's the being ostracized, obligation, and then guilt. But all of them are just offshoots of this. That's just an easier acronym to remember.
Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, "Now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized." This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth.
See what he just said right there? The paradise on earth. Utopists. If somebody's all right, we're good on this now. I'm going to get to the comments. I'm going to go down first. Let's see what people were saying about this. But, Yeah, all it is utopists. It works with cults. It works with. Oh, did we get any more comments? Nick did not settle the issue on whether or not he's gay. Like, wow, his response was very odd. And this, well, on this, I don't care if anybody's gay. Like, I'm to the point now where I will tell people, if I'm meeting somebody for the first time and they tell me, hey, I'm a gay man, I go, you're literally telling me the least interesting part of who you are. I don't care. But this is all part of the utopist playbook. Now, just think about everything that is in politics, everywhere in the world. Whether it's a Marxist country, whether it says that it's a free market capitalist country, but it's really got a lot of socialism in it, it doesn't matter. The utopists always use things like identity politics. Identity politics are used to divide you from your actual tribe. Once you're divided from your tribe, atomized, balkanized, however you want to say it, you're vulnerable now. This is why they use the tactic of ostracism. Back in the day, when we were standing in front of a bunch of people and there were a bunch of eyes on us in the tribe, we did something we weren't supposed to. And we get nervous because getting kicked out of the tribe was a death sentence back in the day. You're either getting got by animals or another tribe of people. That's how that worked. So, it's all like the fat camps, right? Get the public fat. No offense to fat people. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. And yeah, there are guys that still carry, a bigger belly and are still, look at football players. But those are just big guys that put on a lot of weight to move other big guys around. But when you're shoveling your maw full of disgusting fucking factory-made garbage like seed oils, which do cause cancer, so everybody knows, I have zero medical training. Okay? I haven't even looked into it that deeply. But I'm just telling you right now, it's going to come out that seed oils are highly carcinogenic. Highly. I mean, more carcinogenic than a lot of things you call carcinogenic, because they act in concert with them. Seed oils are industrial lubricant. Doesn't mean that you can't eat potato chips cooked in it occasionally. You should go with beef tallow, because that's originally how they were made. But what it does mean is you can't just eat processed food all the time. Think about climate change. How did they refer to it? Yuri Bezmenov right there. Step 3, the crisis. Hey, once we get off of fossil fuels, we're going to achieve the utopia. What I think really happened is the elites realized technology is not going to advance that much more. And if they could control the amount of quote-unquote fossil fuels, they're not fossils. They're hydrocarbons. There are liquid oceans of methane on Uranus or Uranus, however you want to call it. There are literally oceans of methane on Uranus. Okay, that should tell you right there that it's not a fossil fuel. Like, why are you using that word? It puts people in, we're going to run out. We're not going to run out. But, yeah, like, this is just very interesting. And what I was going to tell you guys, there are a lot of gay Republicans. They're all in the closet. And why does the ruling class want to put more gay men in office, it's very simple. Gay men tend to be, I'm not saying they all are, because you gotta, you're talking about our gay community. Notice even the language from the Democrats. Notice how they isolate groups of people that they're supposedly acting as the defender for. So they're still isolating them. But yeah, gay men tend to be more agreeable than straight men. Why? Because they tend to be more feminine. It's not all of them. I've met some gay dudes that, are very masculine and big dudes and like to fight. That's in there. But I'm just saying, if overall you are looking at different communities, the gay community would be more agreeable. It was like to the point where I was watching George Santos on Tim Pool with Mayo Yiannopoulos. And there's nothing wrong. They weren't doing anything wrong. But those two were going back and forth in a very catty way that maybe they think is funny. I don't. I find it just feminine and annoying. So I had to turn off that episode of Tim Pool. I really just listened to Tim Pool as noise. But, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. All the propaganda works the exact same. It's utopists promising you shit. Where'd my fucking comments go? Show. Fuck. Off. What? I don't want a banner, motherfucker. I want my comments back. Yeah, thanks. Alright, this fucking thing wasn't... Hitler edit, techno... yeah, I'll look for that at the end. That didn't work out. No worries. But... Did some French guy really give this dude $500,000 worth of Bitcoin? Because, I mean, that's... Like, again, I'm pretty balls deep in certain things. Like, I'll watch, like, Jimmy Dore's show, stuff like that, even though Jimmy Dore gets on my nerves with his fucking lack of any economic understanding. Gigatod. Gigatod. You've never made Starfield. Laughed as fuck. Spilled the beans. His ex number 2. Well, dude, what was up with that Nick Fuentes walking with the cat guy? Are you watching it? Just dropped it. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I don't know if I can sit through the... Piers Morgan is insufferable, too. He's a lefty out there just holding up the narrative. And it's like, look, guys. Nobody's saying... Well, there are some people saying. Some people don't want any immigration. I don't think that's realistic. But, it is what it is. We're going into a world in which demographics are collapsing. You also required a photo. Yeah. Yeah. Duck's just busted. Yeah, I like Nick. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with Nick. Yeah, it could be just that. Nick Fuentes could be sitting around going, I want to get all that influencer money, and that's why he's pivoting. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a Fed. Or, like I said earlier, maybe somebody came to him. But a lot of times when people have influence, the deep state wants to skin that person, put their skin on, wear it as a skin suit, and run around. And this is what destroys things over time. There are certain things you can... I think, to be honest with you, I think the country has been pushed as far left as it can be. But I don't know. His treasurer is so broken. 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Busted. Alright. Probably it was somewhere. It really started heating up after Trump got put into office. It's literal deep state reaction to Trump. Trump is a reaction to the financial crisis. Barack Obama was a reaction to the Iraq war. And, I mean, again, a lot of this works together. Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radical. Deny, accuse the other side. And, I mean, so I don't even understand why and that works in a 7-minute debate. It doesn't work over time. So, like, if somebody wants to play that game, what you have to do is trap them. And that actually takes a bunch of time, but it works great on TV clips. Yep. Dude, it's all astroturfed. Nothing is real in the media. I'd bust to Jason's. Jason, but I edge for now. That's funny. Mikey, the Keno Casino have great docs on that. Big Mike. Yeah, she's a perpetual victim. I mean, I don't know if the ruling class can get more insufferable. How they're all bitching about being victims on YouTube. It's literally the dumbest thing ever. No. I mean, I don't. If she really was a dude and Michelle and Barack are happy, again, that's not my business. But also, at some point, somehow they're going to finagle a gay guy in there, and I don't think it's going to work very well, but exactly. I would just... Thing is they can never be completely honest with you because that would give away national security interests. But I'm just, I think it's just untenable. So many people, everybody wants some shit. Some people have the access and the resources to bribe people to get their way. Other people don't. And it's all about just keeping people under control. On some level, I understand it. How do you keep a nation together? I just get tired of the obvious bullshit. I get tired of being lectured by... I get tired of told to look at these people and care about them. I really don't. Does anybody really who really gives a shit what Ilhan Omar thinks? I don't. She could go on TV and go, hey, I want to have this guy on. He's got a small channel. And, he was saying some derogatory things about the Somali community. Like, nobody fucking asked you to come here. So if you want to be here, you better go ahead. You better just go ahead and assimilate to our culture, or we'll kick your fucking asses out of here. Back to that shithole. Okay? And I'll tell Ilhan Omar, I don't give a shit about Somalia. I really fucking don't. I don't give a shit about her. I don't give a shit about her community. And quite frankly, I'm tired of hearing about how everybody in this fucking country, Candyland, the land of milk and honey, is oppressed. It's another thing that comes out of the communist playbook. It's what Stalin did when he took power. Gay! It's about honesty. Yeah, well, my question is, how do we as human beings keep getting infantilized and told to ask permission from a bunch of people who are in an occupation that is nothing but lies? These are weak people. They really are. And they're looking at us going, well, I think we should be listening to our elected leaders. Shut the fuck up, Fed. Shut your Fed mouth. shut your fed mouth. Like, we should be listening to our elected leaders. Bill Burr, Sarah, here's how you know he's compromised. How he calls himself an idiot. He's like, I'm not going to have billionaires on my podcast. Oh, but here, let me go perform for trillionaires who barbecued a reporter, then, or cut up a reporter, Jamal Khashoggi, cut him up, then put him in a barbecue, and then cooked a barbecue on top of his corpse. I'm going to go over there and tell my shitty jokes. Liberal white women. Billy Boston. Let me marry Patrick Ewing and then become an insufferable dipshit celebrity. Don't question LA's lesbian fire chief. This fat, useless woman. How is this fat, gelatinous piece of shit coming on TV going, well, you know, if I have to carry you out of a fire, you've already done something wrong. And I'm just like, shut up. Like, how are you a thing? Like, who, like, what firefighter, like, what burly 6'4" firefighter that hasn't turned into a brainwashed progressive retard is sitting there going, yep, that's my leader. You know, yeah, that's the way I feel about it. If I'm going to go into combat, I don't want the pipe hittiest of pipe hitters. What I want is a fat lesbian. That's who I want on my side. I know I'm going to come out, hey Jay, we got to go fight xenomorphs in the colony. Who do you want? You want John Wick? No. I don't want John Wick. What I want is a fat lesbian. That's what I want backing me up. Now, do I think that a woman can't be a firefighter? No. But you got to pass the standards. And that fat chick lecturing me for criticizing her, it's like, this is all this is. This is what the media has turned into. A bunch of losers who get promoted to positions that they never should have been in, lecturing the rest of the populace that accomplish this shit about how they're pieces of shit because they won't worship them. And it's like, dude, the reality of it is, nobody fucking cares. It's like, what it, I have this, like, what, I hear somebody explain this to me. Might be kind of off the subject, but Sydney Sweeney interview. GQ. Let me ask you a question. Right? Why is this... Let me put this up on screen. I'm not normally a guy that really comments on other people's looks, but this woman was... Look at... Goddamn, Sydney Sweeney looks good in those pictures. But how is this troglodyte shaming Sydney Sweeney? It's like there's a war on, like, beautiful, fit people. And here's what it is. A girl like... Oh, yeah, I'm going to play this, too. Okay. You got to just... What is this?
Is there something that you want to say about the ad itself? The Sydney Sweeney has great genes.
All right, so Sydney Sweeney, everyone knows she's got great genes. She's got...
Fuck this guy, too. Why? Who are... Like, okay. Let me ask a question. This dude, right here. Now, I don't mind Michael Malice. I've seen this guy before. I don't exactly remember his name. Michael Malice, okay. I get that these people really aren't what they represent on screen. They're probably not that in real life. Okay? But Dave Rubin, like, who is Dave Rubin? How is he here? Isn't this a gay dude that bought a baby? And he's a Republican now? How? And, like, who is this guy and why is he famous? All right, Michael Malice, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. He does his homework on Marxism. He's a pretty witty guy. But, like, what world am I living in where a beautiful actress does a commercial and there's a word play that she has great jeans? She's a beautiful woman. I mean, I would like to sniff the jeans she was wearing that day. No, I don't even care if she had gas. I still want to sniff those jeans. But the woman that was interviewing her, I'm not going to go after her too much, but she's not ugly. I wouldn't say that. I would say, like, if I saw that woman in the street, I would look at her and go, yeah, she's average. Something wrong with being average. Most of us are not exceptional, and we're going to have to accept that. You're going to have to accept yourself. You know, I'm reasonably good looking. I'm not Brad Pitt. I accept Brad Pitt's a much better looking dude than I am. I'm not going to lecture Brad Pitt, be salty about the fact that he's, you know, a more handsome dude than I am, and he's rich. He's objectively a way better catch than I am. I mean, if you're looking at physical and his money, I don't know. He could be an asshole in real life, or he could be cool as shit. I don't know. I've had my moments of being a complete and utter dickhead throughout my life. So, you know, the difference between me and George Clooney is I'm not smug. Oh, God, no. That would just... No. That... Honestly, Internet Warrior, that invites violence from other countries in the world. It's no offense to gay people. Well, maybe if you have this big, burly bodybuilder-looking gay dude. But if you get your typical off-Broadway, Broadway, show tunes type gay guy, that just invites aggression. That people don't like it because everybody wants to live in their fantasy world. This is why liberals hate the truth. Again, does that sound at all like what Yuri Bezmenov was saying? They get angry at you for telling the truth. All sides of the aisle. A leader who's scared to admit he loves it. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that is true. I will say that too. Yeah, all right. You know, Alexander the Great. I don't even really think, but here's what I got to point out. Like the Greeks and the Romans and shit, I don't really think they ever put like that big of a label on it. I think they were just a bunch of hedonists butt fucking each other across the world. And, you know, it is what it is. They weren't Transformers. Nick, oh, yeah, all right, we did that one. Yeah, I don't, keyword gay. They weren't I don't even care about that, to be honest with you. I never cared. Like when the whole Transformers thing came up, I literally was sitting there going, I don't understand what the big deal is. What am I supposed to do with that dude in a dress? I'm supposed to run over there and dive on his dick because he decided to come out as a woman? And what does that even really mean? Like, why can't you just, hey, I'm trans. All right. Well, I'm going to start dressing like a woman now. All right. Are you going to celebrate? No. Doesn't have anything to do with me, man. And it's like the media is actively trying to tell you what to care about. Why do I need to be told what to care about? Jay, you got to care about climate change. I don't. Well, what do you mean? I don't give a shit. Like, exactly what percentage of my day is supposed to be taken up with oppressed groups? And that oppressed oppressor class, straight out of Marxism. They will. They're already in politics. Politics is honestly going to be destroyed soon. I don't know if that was the goal. I know that because there's two gay guys and they don't have kids. Gay patriots for America, I like it. The Fed, I don't know, maybe. There's also some of Nick Fuentes what Nick was saying about Charlie Kirk. Like, bro, I'm just telling you right now, not a ballistics expert, or whatever that would mean. So the term expert has become so polluted. But a 30-06 round can go through an elk at 200 yards. Tyler Robinson was closer than that. This is like what I said. Do you believe the official narrative about the Charlie Kirk assassination? No. But I'll see what they have at trial. But I don't know. It's going to be kind of hard to get me to believe that the official story is accurate. So, we'll see what happens. Ex-CIA. All right. Well, I've already gotten through here, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to call that a podcast, guys. So let me just say thank you guys for tuning in, whether you stayed for a minute or the whole time. I hope I made you kind of laugh. If I didn't, I apologize. But hope you have a great night, and hope you have a great week. I don't know if I'm going to be back tomorrow. Maybe, maybe not. But thanks for tuning in, and I'm going to be out. So, thanks, guys.